how to present life insurance for sale. So I'm gonna go over how we set up our presentation to build more value, build more urgency, and get someone to realize, hey, this is a pretty good deal, and I should have done this 2 years ago, right? We got Yoda here, he's gonna give me his wisdom. Life insurance I sell, is what he says, okay? He's got his no excuses, only results count on. You know Yoda means business. The presentation ties right into the fact-finding section of your sales process. So you have to present the features, advantages, and benefits of your product in a way that will build emotional urgency, credibility, and value in the product that exceeds the amount you're asking for. A good presentation is a great way to hit the nail on the head before you even get into the close. You want them just like excited for the price, and you want them thinking that it's gonna be way more than what you're gonna ask based on the amazing presentation that you give, okay? There's a difference between features, advantages, and benefits. So everyone knows what life insurance is, but what are you gonna do for me? What's it gonna do for me, okay? People only buy things because it solves a problem. So you have to present in a way where the product is a problem-solving product. It's a solution, all right? So no one loves insurance. It has to solve a problem for them. So a feature is what it is, okay? So a feature could be, for instance, in life insurance, accelerated benefits, living benefits, or the terminal illness benefit. That's the feature, okay? If you should say, oh, your life insurance has a living benefit. Great, well, what does that even mean for me? What's that do? How does that separate you from the competition, and why would I want that? Because if you don't attach an advantage and a benefit to a feature, they're just gonna think it costs more money, right? Think about this. You go to a car dealership, you walk on the lot, you say, I want the Honda Civic, okay? Now, if they say, hey, let's look at the fully loaded one, then you're gonna be like, oh man, that's gonna cost more money, right? Automatically, features make the price go up in your head. So when you attach features, you have to give an advantage and a benefit that like exceeds the price that you're gonna ask. Now we know some of these things are included on insurance policies, but I promise you, when you tell people they're included for free, they probably don't believe it most of the time. Subconsciously they're like, okay, free means something, nothing's free, right? So you have to attach a value to the feature that makes it not only seem worth what you're charging, but seem like it's a really good idea. It's called a winner's exchange, right? Hey, you're giving me this thing that's a really good deal on, and I'm hooking you up too with some business here. So an advantage is different than a benefit, right? An advantage separates your product from the competition. So if you have a feature that multiple competitors have, you want to talk about how maybe yours is a little bit better, or you want to learn and get third-party reviews and testimonials and talk about how your product is going to separate from the rest of the competition. Maybe you have support and services that help them better utilize that feature, right? Maybe you're going to better maintain it over time, and you're going to help make sure that it can be utilized, and that when they have this option exercisable, they're going to know right away, all right? So there are some life insurance products that don't have this, right? The terminal illness benefit or the accelerated benefit. So you want to talk about how your company's feature is, even if other competitors have it, how yours is separate from what theirs is. Learn about it and find out what you can learn about yours and the competitors that'll separate yours, okay? That's the advantage. Now the benefit is what the feature actually does, okay? So you want this to tie back into the needs that they told you wanted to be solved in the fact finding. So that they said it was for a funeral, right? You want to talk about how each feature helps their family make their funeral processes easier. If in the fact finding they told you they wanted to make sure that any medical costs were covered, you want to talk about how each feature will actually benefit their family. So you tie it around, right? You get these questions, you find out what problems you want solved, and then this is how I'm gonna do it, 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 okay? So at the end, they're like, wow, this is like total solution to my problem here. It's probably gonna be expensive. What's it cost? Oh, it's a good deal, cool, let's do it. So if they said it was for a funeral, for instance, what you could talk about is how a terminal illness or accelerated benefit would make it easier for them to cover their services. They'd be able to have a say in it, right? They could prepay for their services and save some money. If you pay before you need it, as opposed to after you need it, you can save a bunch of money on that, right? They can use some of that extra money to help their family, right? They said they didn't want their family to have to take care and take on the burden of caring for them when they're sick before they pass. So the funeral is the cheap part. The expensive part is the long-term care, the nursing homes, the home health care, the nurse's aid, all that stuff. So when you can get a big chunk of money advanced to you, if you're gonna be in a confined care environment, which is a confined care benefit on some policies, or if you're gonna be terminally ill, meaning you got a year or less to live, some states it's 2 years, then you can get this money advanced to you to cover those co-pays, those additional. We pose it like this. When you are sick, right, before you pass, which most people are, your family's gonna have to take time off from work to take care of you. And if not, they're gonna have to hire someone to do it. So either way, it's gonna cost them money. And they're essentially adopting you. You become their second child or third or fourth child, right? You're their adult child. Because you took care of your kids when they couldn't take care of themselves, and now when you can't take care of yourself, they're gonna take care of you. And they're gonna take time off from work. It's gonna cost them money. They're gonna put their life on their credit cards. They're gonna go, many times go bankrupt. They may have to move to take care of mom. So if they can get a big chunk of money to help cover those costs, you gotta really paint that picture for them and say, look, this money ahead of time, like 70% of people die from terminal illnesses. It's not like, boom, hospitals don't get paid to cure people, they get paid to treat people, right? It's the reason why people still live so long before they, like sick, before they die. Costs people a lot of money, sucks Medicare dry, Medicaid, and the hospitals make a bunch of money. So we want to really paint this picture for them because this is real stuff. I dealt with this with my mom. My mom lived for 6 months before she died in a nursing home. And luckily I had very supportive family back home in Massachusetts, but I put a lot of stuff on credit cards to go see her. It took a lot of time away from my income producing activities. So you want to ask questions during the presentation to keep the client involved too. So while you're going over this, hey, can you see your family taking advantage of this benefit here, right? Hey, if your family was ever in the same situation that I was in, or that we're talking about right now, do you think this would be helpful for them, right? Do you even know what? Do you know what? I'll stop them. Hey, do you know what we're talking about here, right? Have you ever been in a situation or seen someone in a situation where this feature would be helpful? Is this something you would want your family to have? Would you tell your friends about this feature, right? Do you think you have friends who would like to know about this? You ever know someone who is terminally ill and how much money it costs their family? So in demonstrating each feature, make sure you present an advantage and a benefit to increase the value of what you're presenting. You need to tie each one into the needs. Now, in presenting the whole face amount, so I just went over features, advantages, and benefits, right? When you're presenting the face amount of the policy, you want to tie it into those needs as well. So whatever they tell you they need it for, right? People aren't getting it to like, it covers the risk for tomorrow, but people aren't getting life insurance to cover like, if something happens to me tomorrow. They're always thinking like in the future, because no one wants to think they're gonna die tomorrow. Now granted, we do sell it for, hey, something could happen tomorrow, and we wanna make sure that that happens, they're taken care of, because you can't afford to have that happen. But we wanna take inflation into account. So you gotta use an inflation calculator. Say, hey, you want a funeral, $10,000, $15,000, in 20 years, it's gonna be like $25,000, $30,000. Right, $20,000 to $30,000. So yeah, you can get $10,000 and cover a good amount of it now, but if you want this fully covered now into the future, it's going to cost you some extra money. It's going to cost you you're going to want $20,000, $30,000 to cover that. You're going to have to buy the body transported, the casket, all this stuff. You can break it down for them and be like, look, these are going to cost a lot more money in the future. Also too, to take care of someone. Right now, the average cost of a funeral is about $10,000 to $12,000. It's about $20,000 to $25,000 the average end of life expenses before someone passes. Okay, that's like on the low end too. I read that. It's on a National Institute of Health database, and also the National Institute of Health says that, in the CDC say that 70% of people die from terminal illnesses. So 70% of the population will be able to exercise this benefit, right? So this is, I know I'm just touching on one benefit here, but you got to do this with each one, and you got to really think beforehand before you go through a presentation. Look at the benefits and the features, and say, hey, how can this, like, how can I paint a picture in my head of how this would help someone? And then next time you go into a presentation, use this, okay? And then, so when we're taking the full face amount here, I got off track a little bit there. When we take the full face amount of the policy, you want to quote what it would cover now, and then in the future, and incorporate all the extra costs. Because you want someone realizing like, whoa, I thought this was going to cost my family $10,000. This is going to cost them like $50,000 after everything is said and done, after my long drawn out process of dying and the funeral and cremation and the services itself. It's going to cost a lot more than that in terms of people's lost wages, taking money to take care of me, co-pays, medical expenses, stuff like that. So you want them thinking, holy crap, why didn't I do this earlier? Because this is a lot of money and there's no way I can afford this whole amount. So quote them the max amount of coverage they qualify for if it's final expense. tell them, hey, you know what, you qualify for a maximum of this much coverage, but we can get your partial coverage in place. Or if you're selling another type of life insurance, you want to say, really take what they need now and extrapolate it out with inflation. Okay, make sure all the costs are in there, show them everything that will cover it. And that, in that sense, you told them, hey, this is the amount that you'll need to be completely taken care of. This is how each feature, advantage, and benefit will go into making sure that that money does its job. And then you move on to the negotiation part of the conversation in the presentation. But this is how you present life insurance. Remember, you gotta accurately present the features, advantages, and benefits. A feature is a thing, and an advantage is what separates from the competition, and a benefit is what it does. You gotta present them in a way that solve the problem that they're trying to solve, and you have to present a coverage amount that they can make sense in their head. If someone's like, I only want a cremation, that's it, I don't want nothing else covered, I don't care if my family takes care of me when I'm sick, whatever, I'm on Medicaid, they won't pay for it anyway. Like, you quote someone $30,000 in coverage, they're gonna cancel. They can't justify it. It happens all the time. I see it. Agents quote these people these massive policies that, yeah, I got this sale. A couple months later, yeah, I don't know, I don't feel like I need it. Because you didn't sell them on what that coverage would do. They have to understand, this is how much I need. That way, when they get that big check, that bill in the mail every month, and they're shaking in their boots, because they got, you know, some of our clients are with payments, it's like, hey, now I know why I'm spending that much money. Right? Because that bill every month is worth less is less impactful than the pain that their family's gonna feel. So that $300 a month is buying them peace of mind, right? So they're happy and they want that, and they're like, hey, they feel good about making that payment. It's not a burden on them. You want them to feel good about paying that money every month. And the only way to do that is to show them how much coverage they need, exactly what it's gonna do, what problems it's gonna solve, and how much easier this will make it for their family. So you wanna make it seem like it's a noble thing for them to do, and that they should have already done. That will really, really help you create the urgency, and they'll appreciate you. Those types of things help build rapport and trust in you, because they're like, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about. Like, he's smart. He really broke this all down for me. And this, I've never had anybody do this, right? I'm just like, oh, you go on AARP.com and they ask you how much you want. So by breaking it down and going through it and really explaining everything to them, people really, really appreciate that. Send them so you can send them a brochure in a text message, a picture message, whatever you gotta do, send them the quotes in a text. We sell on the phone, that's why I'm saying that. We don't do face-to-face. But if you're face-to-face, bring materials to show them, right? So hope you guys learned a little bit here about how to present life insurance in a presentation.